What's going on, people? It's Neeks back with your Cricket World Cup review. And I tell you, bat first, win the game. But we did not expect that. Yes, guys, it's been a little while. We missed a few of the group games. Before the semi-final. We're going to get into the semi-final because, I mean, some are saying it's the match of the tournament, and you have to say with everything that was at stake in terms of getting to that final, New Zealand versus India, first versus fourth, I'm not going to argue. I mean, there's been some great games. You saw India, Afghanistan, where we left off last time was New Zealand, West Indies, both going down to the last few balls. We had some great games in this World Cup, I tell you. But that game was right up there. But as I said, we're going to get into that very, very soon. We're going to just wrap up the group stage. So the games that we had left was the Pakistan versus South Africa. And remember, at this stage, Pakistan needed to win every game and hope that England slipped up in either against India or New Zealand in their last games. And the way England were playing, having lost their last two games to Sri Lanka and Australia, you would have backed India to beat them, but that wasn't to be. England pulled off a brilliant result after losing to Australia to beat India, to really put themselves in a brilliant position to go through to the semi-finals. I think going into the New Zealand game after that win, they would have backed themselves to beat New Zealand, which they comfortably did. New Zealand won a rotten run of form. They won, their first three games against Sri Lanka, Bangladesh and Afghanistan. They won another against West Indies, but outside of that, it was pretty dire. It was pretty poor. But as it was, England beat New Zealand. And so Pakistan's win against South Africa and their win against Afghanistan, which was a very nervy win as well, and their win against Bangladesh to leave them level on points with New Zealand wasn't enough, because the net run rate that Pakistan suffered in their first game against us, West Indies, that come back to bite them. They pretty much had to bowl out Bangladesh for next to nothing to have any chance of actually going through. So that was pretty much wrapped up early, that semi-final spot. The last couple games, West Indies, we after losing to New Zealand, we played Sri Lanka in a must-win game. We lost that game, and our final game was against Afghanistan, and of course I was there, glutton for punishment, and we nearly lost. We nearly lost. We scored 300. We're the only team that scored 300 and actually lost the game in this World Cup. And we looked like doing it twice. Luckily, fortunately, Chris Gayle was able to sign off at the World Cup with a win. Picked up a wicket, a crucial wicket actually, and a couple catches. So he had a good finish. As West Indies, terrible World Cup. And at the end of the World Cup, I'm going to do a post-mortem on the World Cup and the team and where we need to go forward. So I am going to get into it too much right now. But needless to say, Afghanistan finished last. We finished second bottom, Bangladesh third bottom, South Africa just above, Sri Lanka, Pakistan on 11 points, level with New Zealand. Who finished in fourth, England in third, and then the final spots were to be decided between India and Australia. India were playing Sri Lanka in their last game, and they chased down a pretty modest total of 264 pretty quickly and went into the final, or into the semi-final, should I say, in scintillating form. Their top order: Rohit Sharma, KL Rahul, Virat Kohli scoring runs with ease. The only issue they had, and it became a big issue, was if those people got out, what could the middle order do? Because they hadn't really won them many games in the World Cup so far. They relied so much on, well, specifically Sharma and Virat Kohli and the bowlers. Their win against Sri Lanka meant that Australia had to win their last game against South Africa, and you would have thought the way the World Cup was going, the way the two teams were playing, that would be a comfortable win for Australia. But maybe South Africa seemed to play better when there's no pressure. We know they have a history of both choking, perennial chokers, bottle jobs at this level. But when the pressure's off, they're a different team, and they scored 325, and you felt once they got that score, Australia wouldn't chase it down. They came close, 315 they ended on with a ball to spare, but as I said, only Bangladesh has chased down 300 against West Indies, and in that game we bowled like if we scored 400, Bangladesh would chase it down. That's how poor the bowling was. 300 in this World Cup, as the pitch slightly deteriorated, scoreboard pressure, conditions that have suited bowlers more than we expected. I'm not going to say it's heavily in their favour, but it's leveled it out a bit. You know, coming into this World Cup, 400, 500 was touted, but it's been anything but. The highest score we've had is 380. Afghanistan playing England. 397. But as I said, South Africa, their last game, signing off the tournament, maybe give their fans some hope going forward. 100 from the captain Faf du Plessis, 95 from Van der Dussen. And even though Warner got another century in this World Cup, it wasn't enough, and Australia fell short by 10 runs, which meant they finished second in the group, and they would play England in the second semi-final. The first semi-final, New Zealand versus India. And going into it, you thought one team, 3 losses in a row. The other team, top of the table, best team in the world. Win. Virat Kohli, arguably the best batsman in the world. Jasprit Bumrah, the #1 ranked bowler in the world. Dhoni and his farewell tournament. Sharma, top run scorer, 5 centuries in the World Cup so far. It seemed inevitable that India will get to the final. It was a matter of when and not if. And when they reduced New Zealand to, was it 1 for 2? Or was it 2 for 1? You thought, it's gonna happen. When New Zealand could barely get the ball off the square, Kane Williamson and Ross Taylor, and you thought they're going too slowly. It's gonna take a miracle. If they get up to 250, they've done well, but 250 won't be enough. Not against this India batting lineup. And then the rain came. That was a drama, because it was a case of, do New Zealand want to get back out and let India bat 50 overs to make 230 odd? Or would they like the game to stop, their innings to stop now, and India, as it was at the time, had to score 148 of 20, which gives them a bit more of a chance. Everyone said if the game went to 50 overs, then India would win. But the rain, it lasted. We went into the reserve day. So a 1-day international became a 2-day international. The game had everything, I'm telling you. And it's only in hindsight we look back at the Williamson innings and the Ross Taylor innings and we say, well played. But even with that, it took something special. And they got 28 runs off the last 23 balls on the reserve day. India, 239 to win. Less than 5 runs and over. Surely they'll cruise this. Surely a final place was beckoning. I bet when those Indians went to sleep, they felt, yeah, 1 foot in the final. We don't even have to do that well. We don't even have to bat superbly. We just need to get to the score. It's not a massive score. But as I said, win the toss, bat first, win the game. And I said it, but I said it in jest. I didn't actually think New Zealand will win, regardless of whether they win the toss or not. But there's always scoreboard pressure. And 238 on that wicket proved to be, I would say, just below par. But it proved to be enough. And that's the bottom line. India, before you know it, boom, Sharma, gone. Rahul, gone. Kohli, gone. 5 for 3. India's top order blown away. And that's when the pressure kicked in, because throughout the tournament, it was Sharma and Kohli and Sharma. Both of them gone for 1. The other opener, Rahul, gone for 1. It was up to the middle order, who hadn't really fired, and when they were called upon in the England game to chase, they couldn't keep up with the rate. Pant, Karthik, Dhoni, Pandya, they were exposed so early, and as the rate creeped up, the pressure told. Pant went for 24, 5 for 3 became 24 for 4. Pant, decent innings, but just too slow, and the pressure told, and he went for a swipe across the line from the spinner Santner, and the ball went straight up, and they're 5 down. Pandya, we know if he bats for any length of time, yes, he can score runs, but 20 odd, it was never going to be enough. 6 down, and you're like, 96 for 6. It's game over. That's what it says. It says game over. Has to be done. Dhoni and the bowlers, or what we class in Jadeja as a batsman, at bits and pieces. That's what everyone was saying. Hashtag bits and pieces, because one of the commentators, I can't remember who the commentator was now, called him a bits and pieces cricketer. Doesn't really do that, doesn't really do this. Well, he got 1 for 34 of 10. Brilliant bowling. Took some brilliant catches and fielding a run out, especially on the reserve day of the match, the second day of the one-day international. And then Jadeja with a bat. And he brought India right back in it. The crowd were getting into it, because at that point the crowd was silent. When you silence an India crowd, you know as a team you must be doing something well. And New Zealand would have felt, yeah, we're going to win this. We're in the driving seat. But little by little, that partnership between Jadeja and Dhoni, just eking away the runs, eking away singles, a 4, single, another boundary. And Dhoni played the anchor. He took the singles and told Jadeja, and let the Jadeja take the risk. But it weren't massive risks. This was good cricketing shots and calculated risk, you might say. Of course, whenever you go for a big shot, there's a risk involved in an attacking shot. But it was calculated. Where were the fielders? Were they up? Was there a gap? 75, I think he scored. And you thought, he's going to take them home. And it's going to be one of the most dramatic semi-finals in, well, since the last World Cup. We remember the New Zealand grindingly at South Africa. But it's one of the most dramatic semi-finals in World Cup history. But we've seen many involving Australia, South Africa, New Zealand. But this would have been right up there. New Zealand, nobody gave them a chance. Nobody. I don't even know if they gave themselves a chance. At 238, it was hope more than expectation. and Jadeja, Dhoni and the crowd were eking India towards the total. The run rate was slightly increasing but manageable, especially in this day and age. And then boom, wicket. Jadeja's gone. Game changer. Jadeja goes, Dhoni now has to be the aggressor, because now you just got Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, Chalal and Jasprit Bumrah. All bowlers. Dhoni had to be the aggressor, and Dhoni struggled in this tournament. Whether it's a role that he was trying to play or he just really struggled with his form, he hasn't been that free-flowing Dhoni, but there was hope from India that he could rediscover the Dhoni of old, the finisher that he's known to be. First ball of the 49th over, Lockie Ferguson 6, and you think he's gonna go for it, he's gonna do it. Second ball, dot. Third ball, goes for the single, comes back for the 2. Martin Gupta runs in from deep fine leg, picks up the ball, fires at the 1 stump. Brilliant commentary by Ian Smith at the time, by the way. Deadeye, eagle, 1 stump, Dhoni out, 2 inches, and that right there was the game. 25 needed off 9 balls, 3 bowlers to go. You'd think, yeah, New Zealand's done it. And there was 1 more wicket in the over, slower ball, the last ball to get rid of Bhuvaneshwar Kumar. And then Nisham took the 50th over and got the final wicket. And it's all over. It's all over. New Zealand win. New Zealand into another final. India stunned. The fans, the ground, the viewers on TV, listening on the radio, everyone was stunned, because this wasn't supposed to happen. This is supposed to be India's coronation, Dhoni's farewell, Bumrah and Kohli showing why they are the best in their positions in the world. But as they say, when you get ahead of yourself, sport has a way of biting you on the backside. It has a way of bringing you back down to earth, and I think this result is going to bring a lot of Indians back down to earth, because they thought it was won. They thought this World Cup was theirs to be won. Yes, they saw England as a threat, but they thought it was theirs. They got extra dispensation at the beginning of the World Cup to start later. Everything was in their favour. The times of the matches, they played no day-nighters to suit the paying public in India. They had weeks rest between each of their group games. Everything was set out for India to win. But as I said, sport has a funny way of coming back to bite you. It is a real leveler. Sport is a real leveler. So no matter how much money you got, some might even say how much dirty tricks you play in terms of that India game that knocked out, the England game that knocked out Pakistan. I ain't accusing you, but somehow the game has a way of getting its own back. You have to respect the game. But also I have to respect New Zealand, because they did something amazing. You have to say, that was without doubt the best bowling performance of this year's World Cup. One of the best I can remember, but the best of this World Cup, without a shadow of a doubt. to defend 238 against that India team, under that pressure, coming into the game with that form. Well done. Well done, Kiwis. I've got to give them that. But bottom line is they're into the final. They are going to go in as underdogs, whoever they play, whether it's Australia or England. But I tell you what, the opposition's going to know now. You can't underestimate them. Every tournament, New Zealand always go in as the dark horses. No matter what's going on, who is the favourites, no matter where it's being played, New Zealand always the dark horses. If there's one team who can X, Y, Z, it's New Zealand. I didn't back them this tournament. And more for me, because they're shown they are the dark horses. The question is, can they go one further? They've got to finals, they've got to semis. They've had ups, they've had downs, dramatic wins. Now, surely is their time. That's it from me with your World Cup semi-final review. I'll be back after the Ashes preview of England versus Australia in the second semi-final. I'll see you lot soon.